Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to What Do You Say Anime. I am your host, Peter. And on today's episode, me and my co-host, Mr. Young Patty Mills himself, will be reviewing the recently aired, shown, wherever you saw it, the Demon Slayer movie, The Mugen Train. This was going to be spoilers heavy. No surprise.
A little bit.
Just want to
Just a
make
little
sure
bit.
that's out in the open. If you have not seen the movie yet, we will be spoiling the entire thing. So, we this is the second time that we've seen a movie since COVID, so it didn't really have that like experience that we had with the Violet Evergarden movie. I'll put it that way. But I do want to say it was pretty funny when I got carded going to see a movie today.
Yes. Oh yeah.
If you are unaware, I am 30 years old and I got carded for a rated R movie, and I didn't know how to take it. It was like bittersweet. I feel like it's like one of those like when my mom gets carded at like a bar or something like that. She's like, "Oh, you want to see my ID? I feel so young," type of thing. But it was a little different because it's like, I don't know, like I don't want to look 18 at this point in my life right now. I did recently shave, but I was wearing a mask, so it's like, I don't know. It was a little silly, but
I was about to say. So Pete, if it makes you feel any better, I also, for one, shaved right before going.
and then
Because
you picked up
I
a
looked.
you picked up a high school girl after you shaved.
Yeah, maybe. No, I didn't. No, let me not. Let me
That's an
fix
anime
that.
reference. If
That is,
anyone didn't get
yes,
that.
that is a hard no. I did not do that.
All right, good to know.
But just for legal purposes. But yeah, no. So I looked at myself in the mirror before going out to see the movie, and I
Yep.
was just like, God, I need to shave. So I shaved, and then I realized afterwards when I put my mask on, I was like, what the hell did I just do that for?
It did make a difference.
I did it for myself though. I feel good. I look good right now. But I also did get carded to tie this all back in. Makes you feel any better? I did get carded as well. It made me laugh because I was like, oh shit, that's right. This is an R-rated movie, and I
Yep.
guess they have to do it. Whatever. So the guy carded me, and then he was like, well, enjoy your show of Demon Slayer with voice actor Yoshitsugu Mazoka as Inosuke Hashibara. Or he said something like that. Like he gave like a
What?
random. I don't know, and I don't know if that was like in his script,
I bet
to
it
like.
was.
I bet it. Well, it might have been, but the guy was like a nerdy looking guy, like or like an otaku looking guy. So I was like, I wonder if he was just like, if he was doing that for like all sorts of the movies, like just like
Sure.
just to like make it more interesting or strike a conversation. I was just like, oh, that's really cool, then. Like, thank you. And then I scurried off to the theater and forgot about everything that he just said. But
Yeah.
even then, it was I was just so hyped. Like, again, very different feel going into this movie from the Violet Evergarden movie.
Yep.
Going into the Violet Evergarden movie, I guess. Well, for one, it was the first movie we'd been to since COVID started. But even beyond that, the movie itself going in, I was nervous as hell,
Yep.
and I knew what I wanted going in. Whether I got that or not, you can check out in our other episode on Violet Evergarden movie. Sick plug, Pat.
Sick
Thanks,
plug,
Pat.
Pat. Yep.
Thank you, Pat. Very proud of myself. Um, but with this movie, I feel like I wanted just pure like fun, elation, and just like I went in just fully expecting to enjoy it
Yep.
rather than being nervous about my favorite series of all time being ruined by a bad sequel or a bad ending, So that is
For
like I did
sure.
Violet Evergarden. That was what I was feeling. So I'm so glad I was so like I was able to buy a concession, and like I bought some peanut butter or peanut M&Ms and a Coke because I was like, yeah, I feel good. Like I'm
Spent
ready.
$14 on that Diet Coke. Do it up.
Actually I think it was like 11 for
Yeah,
those two
that
fucking
sounds about
things.
right.
It's crazy how much it was. But that's normal now though. But I do remember sitting down. Theater is much bigger than the Violet Evergarden theater was. At least for me, there were 3 showings that night rather than 1.
Yep.
Multiple showings for the rest of the week, and the theater itself was huge. Like a full size theater, which was cool because it was pretty full too. Like, half capacity full, but like full enough. And the guy to the right of me just sat right down, and oh, he was dank to say the least, and that was great because I was just like, yes, I'm back in my element
Yep.
of like, just weebs, bro. Like it was it was nice.
Yep.
I felt refreshed to be back in something like that. Like there's someone who was vaping throughout the entire movie too at first. Like no, like seriously, I was sitting there and like 10 minutes into the show, I can see like off the lens flare of the thing or whatever, I see smoke and I'm like, "Oh my god, are they doing smoke effects because of the fire Hashira is the whatever." I was like, "There's no way they're doing smoke effects." And I
No.
thought about it and I was just like,
No.
No, it's just this dude in front of us is just
It's
vaping.
just
You know,
Chad
like
in the back, yeah.
it's just yeah. Which was so funny to me. I don't know. It made me laugh in the theater. But that movie was great. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
what was your experience like? Because I know I just talked about mine for a while.
Experience was good. So now that I am fully vaccinated, I felt more comfortable. So
Hmm.
before Violet, I wasn't. So this time I was. And also this time I went with a friend. So that was really cool. So we got like dinner. We did some pregame drinks beforehand. So that was really fun because that's like one of my favorite things to do before going to like a movie like this, especially on like a Friday where people are off work. We can get like share some apps. Got a couple of beers, a couple of mixies in me before seeing the movie.
Nice.
Not as drunk as I was when I went to see the Konosuba movie because I was plastered at that, and
That was a great
that
time.
was an
Oh,
experience. This one I got a really good buzz before going into the movie. I got carded, which was like 10 times funnier because I was a little buzzed.
yep.
And yeah, the theater was playing multiple showings, so it wasn't as busy as Violet Evergarden. I had like I think in my row, there's probably like 20 seats. There's probably like 4 people total in my row. So I felt like I had
Wow.
more space. I felt more comfortable like in my area. And I knew I wasn't going to cry, so the mask didn't really bother me. I feel like actually this movie I kind of got. There's some
I got
really,
emotional.
yeah, there's
I
some
got emotional as hell
definitely
in
some
this movie.
emotional
Yeah.
scenes that I kind of expected was going to happen. I was spoiled ahead of time of a certain person's death.
I
So
was too. I was too.
so
Sadly. Mm.
yeah, I mean, but like it was still a really fun experience, and I was just like going into it like I'm here to have fun. It's not like Violet where I knew I was gonna cry. I was here to watch
Yep.
some shonen, some fights, some incredible animations, and I feel like it delivered on those aspects. And we're gonna talk about more of the other aspects of the show that are the movie that Baby didn't hit. So, Pat, do you want to start with like, like the beginning of the movie, or do we want to talk like the good, the bad, the ugly type of thing? What are you thinking? What are you
Um,
feeling right now?
I don't, I think we could do. I think we should just talk about what's great about it first. I mean, for one,
Let's
that's
do it.
yeah, the people who are seeking out our review might want to hear some good things
I
rather
think we
than
should start with
hear
the
us shit
good.
talk the
There's a
movie.
lot. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's a
you
lot of
know,
good in this movie.
there is so much good in this movie. I think uh just to get it out of the way right off the bat, the animation in this movie was mind-blowing throughout. Like the only part of the movie that I didn't love was the way that the demon's like flesh or body was kind of animated at times during the train, where it was like just these globs of
Mm-hmm.
bloody pulp going everywhere. But outside of that, the actual fights themselves, the choreography, and then the flame effects of the sword,
Yeah.
the sword styles, whatever you want to say. I I mean, I came in knowing what to expect, but I still blown away. Like there's the one scene in particular when they cut the neck or the spine of the lower Hashira's, or not Hashira, the lower demon, whatever, the demon train itself, right? They cut the neck off.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. The Mugen trained himself.
yes, the Mugen train himself. That neck slash scene, the way it was just like the color explosion, it was just
Yeah,
like
it was
episode
really
19
good.
all over again. You know, like it was that moment where you're just like, wow,
Can I bounce
this
off?
is
I'll bounce
incredible.
something off of you with that scene in particular, and more
Go
importantly,
ahead.
the entire fight. I think what the movie did really well compared to what the show, maybe not Demon Slayer in general, but I think a lot of shows do, where when it's an episodic show and you're limited to, let's say, 22 minutes, you still have to include like the dialogue and stuff into this 22-minute episode. And so sometimes I feel like it can be rushed. And with the movie, especially we'll talk the first I'll say like final boss scene where it was Inosuke and Tanjiro versus Enmu, the Mugen Train guy. I felt like they did a
Yeah,
really good job at making me feel like he was an end boss. Like it felt like
yeah,
it wasn't like this.
absolutely.
It wasn't this like quick like I have to do it. I have to get a My Hero Academia slam in here,
Yeah, go for it.
where it's like we're like All Might just punches one for all and the fight's over. That type of thing where it's like, yeah, it's cool and all, but it was pretty anticlimactic. I feel like they did a really good job at building up this final boss fight between the three of them, and delivering on like I don't know how long that fight was, at least 15 minutes plus, like the full demon form fight, because you saw Tanjiro fight Enmu before, where you just gotta constantly just put him to sleep. When he went
Mm.
into like full demon form, I felt like we got a super good build up for that, and the whole time I was feeling, I was like, yeah, this feels like a really good, like impactful fight. Maybe, I mean, the animations definitely add to it, but I feel like, especially a lot of times in shonen, the fights are cool, but the impact isn't there. For instance, God of High School, this felt like the both worlds combined. I felt the impact of them like figuring out how to defeat this person, the build up for the fight, and then the actual conclusion. So I just wanted to say that for the first boss fight they had, first real like end boss fight, I thought was just wonderful.
Oh, I agree. Well, it's weird because like I agree that it felt like they built it up, but because I got spoiled of the movie a little bit, or at least of one character's death, I so like when it finished, I was like, damn. So something else is gonna happen, right? Like, cause I knew, and I was like, oh, also I was checking my phone for the run, just to see what time the movie started and stuff, and I was
Yep.
like, we've still got 40 minutes
Yeah,
left
yeah,
of this.
yeah. There's
Like,
more to this.
what's
Yeah.
gonna happen here? Like, how is he gonna come back or whatever? So like when they showed the Enmu, dying, and him being like, oh, what a nightmare or whatever, I was like, what's gonna happen? Like, is the train gonna explode? Like, what happens here? Because again, I am an anime only. I'm pretty sure you are as well. You haven't read it. I think you know the story
I
to the end
read,
of the series.
so I read like the last like 4 chapters of the manga because the internet exploded
Yeah, when it came
when
out.
it came
Yep.
out, and it's like um Attack on Titan level bad of a manga
Yeah.
ending. So it's like I couldn't help myself, because this is also pre season 2 announcement. This was also
Yep.
I think it was pre. I mean, I think this was also pre movie announcement. I want to say, or maybe the movie like thing was out, but like I just knew it was gonna be like a year and a half before it came to the United States type of thing. So
Yep.
I spoiled myself on purpose.
Yeah, I've avoided general spoilers, although again, they are hard to avoid with how much people talk about this show. But yeah, so certain characters' death in this left
I
me
mean, we're
wondering,
talking
like, how are they
spoilers,
going
so
to do it?
we could talk
I
spoilers
mean,
now.
yeah, we can. Well, yeah. So first off, do we want to just talk about the character in general? That's Rengoku Kyojuro,
Yeah,
whatever you want to say his name, the Flame Hashira. I loved this character. Again, like they didn't do much with him in the regular show because again, all the Hashira they were kind of just introduced, other than
at the
what's his name,
end of season 1.
Giyu.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, they were introduced right at the end, so they didn't get a chance to really do much about their personality. But right away from the introduction of him just sitting there, going like,
delicious.
"Oh my, oh my," like delicious, just over and over again. Like it was so good, and I think they built up his personality and his motivations, his just his character development in general throughout the movie was phenomenal,
Phenomenal.
which made his sacrifice in the end, or his death in the end, so much more impactful, because I think it was just enough exposition and flashbacks to his former life, which of course were done very very creatively through dream sequences, right? Like that's a very, it's not, maybe not unique, but it's a clever way to take a story and like, or take exposition and throw it into a story and
Yep.
not have it feel unnatural. Like him having a dream of his family being happy, or being with his father or his brother. Like those are realistic dreams for someone to have, and it's also something that can be shown in real time because it fits in with the story. I thought that was really well done. But just in general, like his character was so fun to learn. Yeah, his fight with the last demon, like, or God, what is that? Akaza, I think the upper three, whatever.
Akaza, yeah,
Akaza
aka
something.
AZA.
Yeah, that fight with him was so, just like every punch was just so impactful, and as again, I was spoiled that he was going to die in the movie. I didn't know how, but I genuinely believed he was gonna fucking take down that, as part of the language. I thought he was gonna take down Akaza with him. Like I
I think,
genuinely thought
yeah,
Akaza was gonna die, whether that's through the stalemate and then like keeping him hostage in the sunlight. I didn't think you'd like kill him straight up, but I thought maybe they could pull off, um, to put it in like gaming terms, like like cheese, if you will.
no,
Like
for
they kind of
sure.
like they could cheese him into dying that way, but
I
no,
kind of wish they did do
I,
that a
I do
little
and don't.
bit, a
I do
little
and
bit,
don't. Yeah, it's weird.
because it sets up this power scaling thing where it's like, Rengoku is, I don't know where he stands in terms of like the power level for the Hashira, but I feel like he's like really high up.
He
Like,
by the way that the characters reacted, they were shocked that he died, right? Like, so I
yeah,
feel like he was definitely pretty high
I feel
up
like
it.
he's like top 3 ish, because then we get. I know season 2 has the cover of another Hashira that's gonna be like the focus of season 2, who looks,
Hmm.
by the way, his character just looks insane. But the only thing I don't like about it in that terms is like it sets it up where it's like the main character needs to be stronger than this guy in order to defeat Muzan, and because Akasa is number 3, so also whoever the number 2 is.
Right.
And I like it when it's in shonen. I mean, since this is a shonen, we're probably gonna be mentioning shonen. I like it in shonen, especially like say Black Clover, where Asa is the main character, but like the final boss isn't like isn't always killed by Asta. It's sometimes it's killed by like the captain, and it's like I like that because he's the captain. He's stronger than Asta right now, and I
Hmm.
kind of felt like it would have been. This is just my opinion. This is me nitpicking. Like I wish it would. I wish it was Rengoku and Akaza like essentially killed each other, and they just like
Right.
they died to like together or something like that, or something, or like he just like never let go. Or I guess yeah, he did never let go. The dude just like ripped his arms off. But like
Right.
I think it would have been really cool to like set up like this is the power scaling for the show. Like Rengoku had to essentially sacrifice himself in order to defeat the number 3. Rengoku is like the number 3 guy for. This is just, I don't even know if he's number 3. Just in this terms, he's number 3 in terms of the Hashira. He had to sacrifice himself to defeat the number 3 guy for the demons. That's the power scaling, and I guess that's what I would have really liked to see. Um, but that's just nitpicking. So sorry, I went on that random ass tangent. It's just
No, that's
I
fair.
love it when power scaling in shows makes sense, and this is just like it's not bad, it's just not good. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. So, funny enough, because we can talk about with the original Demon Slayer anime. So I remember when I first watched episode 19, because I was late to hop on the Demon Slayer train. Haha,
Haha,
clever.
nice,
Thanks,
nice,
Pat.
nice.
Thanks, Pat. Thanks, Pat. Very clever. I know. Um, if you I was late, so I joined in like 7 or 8 episodes in, so I binged it all, and I was like, wow, this is awesome. And as I was watching, I remember watching episode 19, uh and being absolutely blown away by it, right? And being like, oh my god, he just took out this this like level 12th demon, whatever, like an important character, right? And then he comes back the next episode and is alive. He's like, oh yeah, I severed my own neck, whatever, some random shonen bullshit, right?
Yep, for
And
sure.
at first I hated that, because I was like, that just cheapens the last fight and how badass of a fucking moment that was in episode 19. Like how sick of a that build up to the cut and whatever. Like but then in hindsight, like after watching and finishing the series, I was like, man, it's a really good thing that Tanjiro didn't just win against one of like
Yes.
the top 12 demons in the moment.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
Tanjiro gets his
after.
ass kicked all the time.
Right, which is great, and it's
I
great
love
to
it.
see that. So similarly, in this case, at first I was like, "Damn, it would have been cool if they could have taken him out with them." Which it would have made a little bit more sense in this case, because it's Rengoku, who's one of the top. Again, I think you're probably right in saying like he's top 3, top 5 of the strongest of the Hashira, right? Like he is the elite,
He's
and
like the fire Hashira. Like,
mhm,
so it's like I feel like I don't know.
that's got to be top 5, right? Because like there's the 5 forms or
Yeah,
whatever.
thunder,
Like
wind, stone, water, fire.
the same stuff as Naruto, by the way. Good job, Naruto, for inspiring the show.
Yeah, because Naruto came up with it first.
Yeah, of course. Well,
Of course.
you can't prove me wrong. You can't say I'm wrong. So I'm gonna hold that claim.
All right.
Um, but but yeah, so like it would make sense though if he and then Tanjiro and Inosuke were able to beat this guy together or whatever, right? Like especially with the last bit where Tanjiro throws a sword at him, whatever. But at the end of the day, again, now that I'm sitting back and reflecting, I'm like, it is good that they didn't kill 2 of the most important 12 demons, in especially one of the strongest ones, in one sitting.
Yep.
just as the three of them. Like, it's good for the power scaling of the show, and I'm glad that they didn't. Um, that was such a cool scene when he's yelling at him about being a coward, though, by the way. I'm just gonna gush about that a little bit. Like, throws the sword, whatever, the impact, you feel it, and you're just like, wow, it's like yeah, hits him in the back, symbolic of him feeling like, feeling the true pain of what this person's words are saying to him, whatever, right? Like, feeling the fear of having to run away rather than being able to, like he talked about the whole time, being the strongest and taking every fight and going with the punches. That was what Akaza's real main theme was, right? While he was trying to convince Rengoku to change sides or become a demon with him. Like, again, I love that whole scene. This movie's final like arc, I would say, was so strong.
Oh,
It
absolutely.
like
I was
I think
gripped for the last
yeah,
40 minutes,
for the
probably.
last 40 minutes, outside of the last 10 minutes, I'd say I was like fully invested, I think. Maybe not 10 minutes, like 5 minutes. I think, um, I guess, we've talked so much about how the great things. Is there anything like specific that stood out to you that bothered you while watching it?
Bothering. I guess the only thing, the my biggest problem was the first, I'll say half of the movie.
Hmm.
In terms of, they're obviously setting up what is to come, which is normal. Like, I understand you can't just go and start bum rushing everything when they're building up like this boss fight. So I guess in this situation, they try to fill the gap with comedy. And for as much as I loved Rengoku's character, I really did not find like his comedy funny. I like when he did like the delicious thing was funny the first time, and he just kept doing it. And I personally didn't think it was funny at the time. I was like waiting to see if other people in the theater were also laughing.
Yeah.
And like no one was like really laughing. I feel like it's hard because like the comedy in the show is kind of hit and miss. Like when you see it with Zenitsu, like you know what's coming. Like he doesn't
Oh,
change his comedy. It's
the
him.
worst character. He's not
It,
the worst, but it feels like he's the worst, you know?
it's him
Yeah.
it's him crying or him saying like Nezuko. So like if you don't find that funny, and he does it, let's say I don't know how many times he did it in the movie. Let's say like three.
Like, so many times.
It's not going to be funny the first time, the second time, the third time. But for like this is why it's like it's not like a bad thing. When it's a Nosuke's comedy, I think it's fucking genius. I love his character. Um, the fact that he calls out that the train is the final boss immediately, as soon as he rides the board, he's like,
Yeah,
"This is so
so
fast,"
funny.
and then he wants to jump out the window and race the train to see who is faster. I love like that he's just like this idiot, like loudmouth, but like it works for me.
He's like a boar almost. Wow,
Yeah.
crazy. Like, whoa.
I really love that he never said Tanjiro's name until after the train crashed, and then he calls Tanjiro's name wrong, and that was kind of like a
So
great.
good.
It was a great buildup because like I know in the series there's like one episode where he says Tanjiro's name wrong like 7 times in one episode.
Yep.
That's the joke. This is like the exact opposite where we're building up for an hour to get that joke, and it hit. It hit so hard.
It's so
I was
good.
cracking up. I was like, because the whole time he's like, "I'm the boss. I'm the leader," and
Yeah.
I think he kept referring to because like in his dream, Tanjiro was like a minion or something. I think he refers to him as a minion or something like that.
Yeah, like a subordinate,
So
whatever.
yeah, something like
We're
that, along those lines. So the whole time after the dream, he's just like, "I'll do it because my minion said I should do it," or something like that. He never calls him by Tanjiro. He says my minion. So like that comedy hit, but it was like just the beginning felt really slow. And I felt like if the comedy hit for me, it would have been much better. It was just so hit and miss where I didn't really resonate in the beginning, like let's say like 20 minutes while it was building up.
Mm.
Um yeah, I guess that was like a big problem, but then it like kind of transitioned to like a really cool thing with the dream sequence. I like how they kind of how the dude used like either like sick kids. I think one of the kids was blind. Um, well, yeah, one had TB, one was blind, and then the other two were just like I don't know what there was. And like the whole thing was that they wanted to get their dreams back because like that was like a state where they felt like they could live or like be themselves or something like
They could
that.
be
They could
happy.
be
They could
happy,
find
yeah.
happiness, yeah.
And
Because like, you know,
so
one of them's dying, one of them's
yeah,
blind, one of them is maybe poor or lost their family, like, you know, you saw the conductor lost his family,
yeah.
so he wanted to be in a dream state rather than in
Yeah,
reality,
I
which is
really,
a
I really liked how they like tied that into
mhm.
how they got the other people into the dream states, and I really like how they figured out a way to get out of those dream states. The first one was kind of an accident by Nezuko, and then Tanjiro putting the pieces
I
together.
I was about to say, so when Nezuko like bashed her head or whatever against him, and then like she starts bleeding, the whole crowd was like, in my theater at least, went like, oh, like, you know, like
Yeah,
started like freaking out. Like it was every time she was on screen, like I could hear like half the audience like gushing about her. It was great. She was fun, and I liked that little again. That's clever though. It's like a happy accident or a just a coincidental thing that happens, but that does sometimes that's what you need to save the day, right? You need to be
absolutely.
lucky, whatever. Um, I guess I can get into
Yeah,
my big gripe because I agree with you. The first half hour, I was sitting there and I was like, "All right, this is fun," but like, how was this the highest grossing movie of all time in
yeah.
Japan during a pandemic?
I was
Like,
honestly questioning that as
I
well.
was like, how did people go back to see this 6 or 7 times and not get bored of it? Like, in a pandemic? How? Like, I was sitting there the entire time wondering that until the final, arc, and I was just like, "Okay,
Yeah,
I'm in.
like yeah,
I
that's a
wanna
big
see this
turnaround.
tomorrow. I wanna drive to Rhode Island to go see this with my roommate tomorrow." Like, that's what I was sitting there thinking at the end of the movie, like, "God, I wanna watch this again." Um but I will agree. The first so the comedy with Rengoku to mirror your point hit with me for a little while. Then I was just getting sick. I was like, all right, we get it. He's a bit of a meathead, or he's a bit of a just like he says what he's thinking. He goes with it.
Yep.
Um, what annoyed me most with the movie in general was that they go into these dream sequences, right? So like when we see Inosuke's dream sequence, they're in the cave, or with Zenitsu, he's like carrying Nezuko around, right? And like, oh, I'll protect you, I'll do whatever.
Yep.
So we get to see how Tanjiro breaks himself from his sleep, but and we get to see how Rengoku starts to break himself or whatever. Like his willpower just like stops the girl from like stabbing him, right? And is like that's a really funny scene too when Nezuko wakes up and she's like, oh, this guy's just choking this child out in front of me, like whatever.
I like that he didn't kill her though. That was like it showed
hmm
a lot about his, like a subtle thing about his character.
Yeah, it was great. It was really well done that he didn't just like just go and yeah, just offer because he was mad. Like he thought about it. He's like, oh, you've been manipulated. You're being controlled. Whatever. Great character for him or moment for him. But but yeah, so like they even like showed them beginning to fight back, but they only showed resolution to Tanjiro's like world, right? Which is where he eventually realizes, you know what? I have to kill myself to wake myself up out of this dream. At first, I thought they were going in the direction where he would have to kill his family
That would
to
have been
get out of the dream.
insane.
That's what I thought. I was like rooting for that to happen because I was like, please make it so that he has to turn his dream into a nightmare to make himself wake up. That's what I really wanted them to do. So like his nightmare of him literally having to butcher his family and recreate what had happened
Yep.
to them in real life, that would wake someone up, right? Like, or traumatize them, whatever you want to say. Because it would traumatize them in real life and it would also wake them up. That's like a little win-win, right? Like, I don't know. That's just me being fucking evil, though, I guess.
I
I
mean,
was also fine with him killing himself, though, in the dream, too, because I'm like, oh, that's really clever. Like, you need the willpower. Because, I don't know, they say if you like try to bite your finger off, you wouldn't struggle
yep.
that much if your brain didn't like tell you that you were doing something wrong. Like it'd be like biting a carrot, but obviously it doesn't feel that way when you go to do it.
Yep.
Like the willpower to just off yourself like that, even in a dream and not knowing for sure if you're gonna live or die, whatever, that is tremendous and it shows his development as a character, his strengths growing, and it was awesome. So I wanted to see Zenitsu have to figure that out. Or what did Zenitsu have to do? What did Goku have to do? What did Inosuke have to do to escape their dream realms? I was like, I kept waiting because Tanjiro wakes up and he's doing stuff for about 5 or 10 minutes in the movie. He's going out in the train, telling Nezuko to help, whatever. And you're like, oh. I'm waiting for the others to get shown waking up or shown how they're waking up, and they just never did. They kind of just woke up.
You see like Nezuko like starting Inosuke on fire or whatever.
Right, right, and but then they don't show the rest of them getting woken up. But yeah, they show
Because
Inosuke
that
getting
would
woken
make
up on
sense
fire.
because like when Tanjiro was like on fire in his dream, that's when I thought he was going to wake up, and then
Hmm.
it took it to the part where he'd like run out and then whatever and kill himself. So
Yeah,
I thought that would be because I don't know. I feel like that would have made sense with like Inosuke waking up if like Nezuko started him on fire. Like that would wake
yeah.
him up.
Well, yeah. Again, it was it was very funny. Again, great. There were like great comedy moments all throughout because like I don't know, like I was expecting it. It was very dramatic at times because that's what the series is like. It's very dramatic. It's very bloody. It's very like heavy. But then there are these just random moments where you're just like laughing, and like there are moments where it doesn't hit for me as
Yep.
well, like you were saying. But in general, I was just enjoying it so much.
It hits more than it misses for
It
sure.
for absolutely it does hit more than it misses. But it definitely does miss at times. Like
No,
again,
for sure.
for sure.
Actually, could I say something about the dream
Yeah, go for it.
and how like Tanjiro woke himself up? And I still remember this to this day, and it always reminds me when like these dream sequences happen. When I was a kid, did you ever play the game Turok Dinosaur Hunter? It was on like
Say I did.
N64. I might be
See,
aging
I'm too
myself
old.
here.
Well, no, I should have played on an N64. GameCube was my first console,
Okay,
so no, I can't.
it was just, basically it's a game where you just fight dinosaurs or something like that. I remember I was
I
having a nightmare and I realized I was in that game and I paused the game, I quit, and I woke up. And it
oh my
still
god.
reminds me to this day. So when Tanjiro's like, I'm gonna off myself to wake up, I'm like, that's genius. Like, you
Yeah.
realize the sequence, like, what you need to do. Like, if you aren't in the dream, then you wake up. Like, that's how it works. And I was like, that's, I thought that was just like really great just like writing and like the theme of the dream and how they you solve these issues. It's not this Deus Ex Machina bullshit. It's like I it was really well done.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna give it props for that because that was just like the whole time I was thinking like how is he going to get awake? How are they going to get awake? I thought like they would just cut the rope and they'd wake up, and that wasn't the case. And
I'm glad it wasn't.
yeah, I thought it was really cool. They definitely teased a few different things of what you thought was going to happen because like you saw Tanjiro in the water and he pulls him in. That didn't wake him up. So
Mm.
really
Yeah.
cool.
So another thing about that dream sequence, real quick, that I loved, and again, like I didn't expect to go into this movie and get like emotional because I like Demon Slayer, but I'm not like super invested in it. I'm like I'm just along for the ride. Again, another train joke, transportation joke, whatever. Um,
Punch your ticket on that one.
yeah, yeah. Please be careful for the bloody
I'm
ink or
getting a
whatever.
little
That was
sleepy
clever too, by the
afterwards.
way.
So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, sweet dreams, my friend.
yes,
I really liked how in his dream sequence, his family, like so the Enmu realizes he's losing, right? Or he's starting to wake up, whatever, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna turn it into a nightmare. So his family starts cussing him out or starts saying like, oh man, how could you let us die? What's wrong with you? You say you're a selfish jerk, whatever. And I was tearing up when he like had that moment of revelation where he was just like, that's bullshit. Like my family would never say that. You're not making any sense, like, or um how dare you sully their name by saying making them say something like that in my dreams. Like I was just like, god, this is just like the passion and like the I don't know, I'm again, I'm a sucker for like family love, everything like that.
for
Like,
sure.
this is so good. This is what I wanted. And I was just like, yes, wake up, Tanjiro, and just
Yes,
go.
do
Go.
it.
Do it, man. Yeah. Like row, fight the power. There we go, baby. Again, I was just like, that was the one of the the two moments I got like a little emotional during the film, and right from that scene on, and basically like that part of the dream sequence on, I'd say is when this movie really picked up for me. And again, like at first I was like, really, where are the fight scenes? Why is this such a popular show with again with like just the general crowd? Because like it wasn't that phenomenal or mind-blowing of a movie that I was like, I want to see this again, or I can't wait to go watch it again until again the fight scene started and Rengoku started dominating the screen time. That's when I really got super invested. Like I was sitting on the edge of my seat by the end of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you feel the same way?
Well, it's funny you say that, especially with Rengoku, because I think one thing that I didn't like that turned into something I loved was Rengoku. I really did not like his character from the beginning. It seemed really generic. Like I'm the strong guy. I'm the noble guy. I'm of course I'll listen to you. Son. He reminds me of like John Cena. I don't know. It was just like his character was like really basic in the beginning. And then it turned into so much more with his backstory and all this stuff. It's like with like his mom. It's like why he's doing this. Like he understands that he is stronger than everybody, essentially everybody else, and he holds that like noble. Like he holds that to his heart. Like he is stronger. He wants to protect people like out of the goodness of his heart, and you see that with like his brother, how he's very caring for his brother. When his dad is kind of just like changed after his mom dies, and it really showed like the character that who he is. It wasn't this like facade of being the leader and being the good guy, the super noble guy. It's like no, this is who his character is. Here's why, and I loved it. It's just one of those things where they turned into like what a character that I was immediately just like nah, this dude's just like basic, whatever. And then
He's
it turns
mid. He's mid.
and then
Your
it's just
favorite
like,
phrase.
and now he was my second favorite character by the end of the movie. Like, I in a span of like an hour and a half or whatever it was, that props. That was
Yeah.
incredible character development in such a short amount of time. That's
Yeah.
really hard to do, especially when it's not shown, especially in shonen. It's not shown through fights that make his character incredible. Even though he is like this incredible swordsman, it's the personification of his like past that makes him this amazing character. I don't know, just something like that type of character, like really resonates with me. It's like he
Yeah.
had like the reason to do this. It's like I like when the character is nice because he's the main character. Like that's just because you're the main character doesn't mean you have to be the nice guy, and he doesn't have to be the honorable leader just because he is Hashira and isn't like a high suited Hashira. He doesn't have to be that person, and you see why
Right.
he is that person, and that the why was told so well. So major props to whoever. I mean, it's the author obviously, but just like the character development in Rengoku was top epsilon. That was incredible.
I agree. The only thing I was annoyed about after by the end of the movie because I was like, oh, we didn't get any more of it was with his father. I would have and his brother as well. Like I guess we get the closure where
A
he's like
spinoff?
giving the maybe
A
maybe
spinoff with his brother would be super cool. And
that would be
you
cool.
have the story for the drive of being a Hashira.
Right. But like they didn't fully wrap it up to me because like they just basically had him say like, oh, tell my brother I love him, whatever, I believe in him. Tell my dad uh to be well or be healthy, like to take care of himself. And yeah, that's the end
But I
of
can
my
see
story.
I can see like season 2 starting that way. Like Tanjiro visiting their like
Oh, that's true.
household. Like cuz
Yeah,
like we're
that's
getting
true.
season
Yeah,
2 in October, I want to
some
say. It's
something like
sometime
that.
this year. I don't think it's July. I'm pretty sure it's
I don't either.
October.
I'm pretty sure
So
it's
like we
the
are
following.
getting the second season this year, so I feel like that would be
Yeah,
like
but
a
this movie
really good
was
run.
released last year though, too, though. So you
Yeah,
gotta
I
keep
know,
that in
but
mind too. But yeah, so like of course you could have more closure with it, but I was still frustrated though. I was like, man, like they like teased his dad being really important, and then kind of just didn't really bring him up that much until the end when he's like, oh yeah, please tell my father something,
I feel like
love him,
that's
blah blah.
okay. I because I feel like it's one of those things where I know we have this disagreement a lot. Not everything needs to be told for me to understand. Like I feel like they gave me enough information of like his father was like this was also a Hashira, really like high rank guy, and then he just quit. And I just put the pieces together. It's like he probably fell in love and wanted a family. That's just what seems like what happened. And like I don't need them to tell me that. I could just like even if I'm wrong, I feel like that's like a fair assumption, and other people may other have like reasonable guesses to like why. But I feel like that's one of those things where it's like they don't have to tell me. Just like let the audience decide on what they think it is, type of thing.
Yeah, see, I don't mind them not telling us like why he quit, but I would have liked to have seen some closure as to the main disagreement that he and his father have, right? That, oh, he's wasting his time, he's just killing himself, something, whatever. Which again, I'm sure someone in the comments who's a manga reader will be like, oh, they do that literally in the first arc, and I'll be
Yeah.
like, I
This is
will eat my
anime
words.
only. Yeah, we're anime
This is
only.
anime. We are anime only, so I will eat my words. But again, this is just me reviewing specifically from the movie. I was
Yep.
just like, man, I want to know more. I want to see, did they come? Does his father come to an agreement or come to an understanding at least of the way his son feels? Like, I wanted that, and I thought we were gonna get it honestly by the end of the movie. I didn't expect it to cut off like again the end credits rolled, and I was like waiting for an end credit scene, and there just wasn't
Yep.
anything there, and I was just like, oh,
And that's
okay,
fine. Yeah, this is just like how we
it's
view it.
fine.
This is how we view anime. We have differences of like how we view it,
Yep.
and I think how you view that is perfectly fine. And it's just like
Yep.
whatever. Yeah.
I like more clear endings in terms of at least like the direction or the intention being clear of the author. I don't mind if there's open-endedness, but I want the intentions of the story or the narrative to be clear versus
Okay.
and that's where again like so his father, we know no, we don't know enough to be able to draw our own assumptions about him really. Like we can assume the family thing, that's a good point.
See,
I didn't
I
even really
think
think
we
about that.
do.
Does he feel remorse that his son just died? Does he feel, or does he still sit there and just read the book all day and say to himself, oh, well, it happened. I warned him. Like, do we know? I would presume that since he was a Hashira and since he was like raised a kid like this, although you could argue his mother raised him, but whatever, um, like that he would feel bad about it or would feel some
Yep.
way about it, that would be a sign of character growth or reflection, but we don't know for sure, which is again, I just would have liked to have at least had a more of a hint at it than just, oh, here are my dying words to my father and family. That's where
I,
I was like, I don't know.
you know what? Now we're talking about. I think that'd been a really good way to end the movie because how the movie ended with them, like, I mean, they're crying over Rengoku. They're
Oh my
sad.
god, that annoyed me too. Yeah, the ending felt like
That
okay,
I think it'd be a really great ending if they had some like closure with his family because
right,
that would make sense because the last arc. I mean, yeah, they're the three main characters, but like that arc was about Rengoku. That last part that was about Rengoku. I think it would have been really nice to finish it for Rengoku because the ending was more like Inosuke like grabbing him was like, let's train, like we have to train, we can't let this happen again, which is cool. Like I get the idea of why like Inosuke did that. I just feel like it kind of the impact of the death wasn't as like grand of a scale that it could have been if it's like they go back to the like what if like Tanjiro like hands um his dad like his sword or something like that.
right.
Like
Which they show in the end credit scenes. Again, I know you walked out, but they show his sword broken. Like the hilts and just like the very beginning of the blade, in like just like artistic
yeah.
shots of it while Lisa sings her goddamn mind out because she's incredible.
Can we talk about the music for a second?
Yeah. Yeah, sure, sure.
I thought it was
I do wanna get back to that point, though, about the ending for sure.
yeah, I thought the music in the movie was really good, but I don't know why they didn't include. There's like nothing in the first half. It was really light, especially even in like
Was.
the intense scenes. They definitely put their like I'll just say their bangers towards the end, and I thought that was really weird. Like didn't feel the intensity of the fights because the music, especially in a movie theater setting where I can feel that more than if I was watching it on my TV at home.
Oh, the sound was so loud at my theater.
It
It
was
was the surround sound, the train was just
yes, but like the music in the fight scene with Rengoku and Akaza was like incredible, but like in the
Yeah, it
beginning
was.
fights it like was non-existent. I'm like, this is weird. Like I don't know.
I agree. I thought it was a
I
little
don't know.
weird at times, but it was good. Again,
It
when it
was
was good,
when it was
the
good. It was
peaks
great.
the peaks were really
Great
high.
music. Yes, great
Mhm.
music. I just felt like the timing was like. I feel like they like maybe like they had like a song for like I don't know insert fight A, and it's like actually it just got copyright claims, so put in some other music. It's just like and that's what they did. That's kind of like what it felt like.
I know. I liked it enough. I didn't notice it that bad in the first half, but on reflection, I can say like, yeah, you're right. All the songs that I was just like all getting all hyped about were at the end of the movie,
Yeah.
or in the second half at least. I will say though, when again, this is around the same moment as that scene where he's like, "Bullshit, my family wouldn't say that."
Mm-hmm.
When his theme started playing again, the na na
Yep.
na
Yep. Yep.
na
Yep.
na. Na, 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 na. We're gonna get copyright claimed. I'm so
Ah,
good
you
at
just
singing. I
got
know.
DMCA'd, bro.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. But when that starts playing, I was just like, yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
yes,
There's some really good moments.
yes. Like, give it to me. Fucking inject it into my veins. Um, but to get back to the ending, just real quick,
Yeah.
because
Let's.
we touched on that. Yeah, they just cried for like the end, and then that was it. Like again, like so I'm feeling like um the Mean Girl meme where she's like sitting there and she's like, "Oh, so you agree? The ending was bad." Like that's kind of like that meme format. I feel
Yeah.
like that personified right now because you're like, man, it would be cool if they ended with them meeting his family, like just even another 10 minutes, where which is again the more we talk about it, the more likely it is that this is probably how the second season starts, and they just like they start over, they meet his family, and then they're like, all right, we're off to the red light
Yep.
district or wherever
Yep.
the hell they're supposed to go. If that was at the end of the movie, I think that would have had so much more of an impact on me. Like it'll still make me tear up when I go see it or when I see it on my Crunchyroll or whatever.
Yeah.
But like I don't know, man. Like, give me some closure.
Cause
Give me some closure. Give Rengoku some closure, bro. Like, this is your best character, pretty much in the show up to date. I think he's the best character, arguably.
he's probably my
Like,
second. He's probably my second favorite character.
yeah, he's up. He's top two
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
least.
He's
Like,
top. He's top two. Yeah.
he is phenomenal, and
Phenomenal. What a
there's
great
no
character.
closure. There's not enough closure for me, which is why I was so annoyed that I was just like, really, like that's how they end.
I was annoyed
I,
because you talked about earlier when Tanjiro threw the sword and was screaming at him. I thought
yeah.
that scene
Oh,
was incredible. It was
yes.
so good. I felt the emotion, and then they, it just it took the impact away when they made the comic relief of Inosuke, which I mean, like that's his character. Like I understand Inosuke is like I, he doesn't get it. Like that's like his character. I understand
Yeah.
that. But
He
like
doesn't get it so badly that he can't even like get turned into Dream World or whatever, right? Wasn't that part of the bit was that he oh, because he wears the boar's head, right?
yeah.
Or whatever, and because
No,
of his
that
like primal spirit, that was so good that he can't get like mesmerized by the dreams or he can't be read or whatever, so
that
to
yeah, that
speak.
was
Right? Like
the eyes or whatever that put people
mhm.
to sleep. It was just yeah, it was just like
But yeah, it was so
I
good. Like it
felt
was like
like I because like he was crying. I thought that would be like a really cool character thing where like what if Inosuke didn't say anything? Like
mm,
sometimes silence is stronger than like the words people actually like project. What if Inosuke just sat there and cried? Like
yeah, like a tsundere or whatever, just sat there like silently and not saying anything, and it's just like
that would have been so cool. Like you're
yeah,
expecting Inosuke to be like this super loud comic relief. What if he just sat there and cried? Like he
yeah,
understood the moment. Like that would have been because like there's like a scene where he's like running on the train, and he's like this is like right when Rengoku woke up. He's just like, oh, I know I'm the leader, but that guy was so cool or something like
yeah.
that. It's
Again, all of the scenes were so
it's like
funny.
Inosuke like he recognized like how good Rengoku was as like a fighter and everything like that, and like his presence and everything like that.
I'm the leader, but I'm gonna listen to his advice. Like that
Yeah,
was so good. It
I
was
felt like that would have been a
oh
really cool thing of Inosuke's character. Like, yeah, this is just nitpicking, but like I just felt like it killed the impact of the actual death of Rengoku.
I agree. Which that death was just again phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
That scene was so that scene was just so good, man. Again, we're just gushing about it because and again, I don't know if you mentioned this actually at the beginning of the show. So Pete saw it tonight,
Yep.
the night that we're recording on Friday night. I went and saw it last night, so I had to sit and not talk about it for like a day,
Yeah,
which drove me nuts.
you've been holding on.
I've been I've been boiling up, and the steam's been building up in my engine to just yeah, come up with all these terrible train jokes
Yeah, yeah,
on the
for
spot
sure. Yeah,
because they are bad. They are
they're
terrible.
awful.
They are really bad, but I'm proud of them. But like that scene though when they're um again, the entire fight, Rengoku's just like, no, I am strong and this is my duty, right? And Akaza's just telling him like, no, you should become a demon and you'll become stronger. Like, don't you want to be strong
Mm.
for yourself? And it's like, no, I am strong for other people. I am strong because I have to protect those that are weak. I'm never switching sides. I'm never coming to you. And then the self-sacrifice and everything. It's just so perfect. Like
Really good.
and then topped off with Tanjiro because he was so helpless. He felt so helpless, and then he does all he can do, which is just put his all into it, which is the emotional part of him just screaming at um like coward, whatever. I can't wait until Akaza comes back. Again, hopefully it's really well done. When Akaza comes back to eventually face probably Tanjiro or something like
You know, it'd be
someone
great. I
along
would
those
love.
lines.
This might sound
Yeah.
like I kind of was talking about how like there was like a build up in like the first boss fight is like 15 minutes and everything. I if Tanjiro gets like really strong, if he killed if he kills like Akaza in like 3 seconds, I think it'd be dope as fuck. Like you killed his mentor, his idol, or whatever like that, and
Yeah,
like he sees him, he gets so mad, it's like you're dead. Like that's it, you're dead. Like I think that
that'd be cool.
I think
I think
that
that could be cool, but I'd rather him
I
like slowly
I,
beat him and then be like, I out trained you, like something, whatever. Like this is for Rengoku, something, and then
yeah.
that'd be, I don't know. That's me. That's the safer way to do it. Your
No,
way is
for
so
sure.
risky, but
I
it could
just
be good.
I'm trying to.
Yeah.
There was something like that. I'm trying to think of what the show was.
I can't think of a show off the top of my head, but the best example would be like if it's done well, at least would be like the scene in Indiana Jones where the guy pulls out the sword, right, and it's like
Yeah.
whipping the sword around,
Oh,
doing all the flashy shit, and Indy is just like rolls his eyes and just shoots him.
shoots him with a
Um,
gun.
he shoots him with the gun rather than like doing a big like whip fight or whatever. Like that's essentially what Pete would want in for a scene with Akaza. I think that would be again that would be cool, but like to pull something off like that, that's
That's
like
that.
so
This
difficult. That
this
would
is
be
just like
so hard.
the where the impact of like just like the fire in his eyes. It's like literally the fire in his eyes, and like
Mhm.
I see you again. Like you killed Rengoku. Time to Omira. Oh, it's like Fist of the North
Yeah,
Star. Just
yeah. Oh, wow,
oh,
mo Shindinu.
you are already dead, Donnie, and then just like his head gets decapitated or something like that. That'd be so
Yeah.
great. Oh, just throwing that soundbite definitely wouldn't get sued or anything. Not at all.
No, yeah. I what? Oh God, what else is there to talk about with this movie?
I
Like,
don't know. You got any
I
final
don't know.
thoughts?
Yeah, yeah. I think in general we've got again. I've gushed so much about it this whole time. Um, I don't really have anything else. Again, I came in. I guess expectations. It delivered on all expectations before we get to like our actual final thoughts. I'd say I expected to go in and be entertained and blown away by the visuals and check both those boxes
Yep.
off. Like I was thoroughly entertained and thoroughly blown away by the visuals as well. So I don't know if you feel the same way.
Yeah. The two like big name, I guess, because let's be honest, we're not Shonen Bros, but I
No,
think when
not at all.
Shonen does it right, it's really good. Um, recently it's Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen. So when I resonate toward those style of shonens, I'm expecting a pretty high level of what I guess like above average like storytelling, animation, like logic in their story and stuff like that. And I think Demon Slayer delivers that really well for its genre. I'll put it that way.
The power system is very well done, in my opinion. From what I can see so far, at least, it seems like it all makes sense, and I can definitely agree with everything else you just said as well. Like for as far as shonen goes, it's like this and Doctor Stone are my two favorites,
Doctor
and
Stone's really good. I guess I'm
yeah,
putting in like the
they're
battle
different.
shonen
Right, like
aspect.
it's
Yeah.
different. That's the thing, though. Like I was about to say, like other than you said Jujutsu Kaisen, I've never gotten really into it.
I
I
think
will
you'd
say
like it
no,
if you like
my friends love it. My
if you
friends
like.
love it.
I think it's
Yeah,
better than Demon Slayer, and I really like Demon Slayer.
really.
Yep.
Wow. Well, cause like, my friend, who watched all of Naruto, and, it's this a shonen was just, like, gushing about the show. He's like, "Oh, it's just like Team 7 all over again," and I'm like, "Damn, that's really tempting to watch." And then I watched the baseball episode because I just was like I saw one scene from it, I was like, "I need to watch this,"
The
and
baseball.
the
It's
whole
a great baseball
such a
episode.
great episode, it was so funny. Um, But back, yeah. So maybe I'll get to it someday. I don't know. There's so many. Still need to watch Code Geass. Good lord.
Yeah, what are you doing?
I a lot of things that I shouldn't be, if we're being honest.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, oh God, I wish that was more fun than or I wish that was more truthfully fun than it sounds. But yeah. So Demon Slayer. I guess we can do our final thoughts
Yeah, let's do
on
it.
Demon Slayer. Um, I guess I'll go first. I again, I went in expecting to be entertained, and that's what I got. I was annoyed at certain points of the movie. Like Pete said, there were certain comic relief moments or whatever where I was just like, "All right, Zenitsu, shut up, buddy. Like, please, I don't care about you." But then there were times where I laughed at what Zenitsu was doing. Like, it's very hit or miss, the comedy in this series, which is okay because it does hit most of the time,
Yep.
like Pete has said too. It hits a majority of the time. Um, I was annoyed by how the dream sequences weren't fully resolved. Like the girl was climbing in the cave, and then that's the last that we see of her. You know what happened to those children? You know, like what? I mean, I guess they survived, right? Because they're one of the 200 passengers. But like, I don't know. There's no true resolution to where did they go? Are they being orphaned off, or what? Like, you know, do they live? Like, well, they genuinely though, like they're clearly in need of help, right? Like
Yeah.
if they're going to a freaking demon for help, then they clearly need something. Um, but again, outside of that, the experience was great. Got to give credit to the theater that I was at. Phenomenally like put together. The sound was great. The production value is there for in terms of like just the theater setup. You know, being safe as well in the pandemic. Um, the movie itself phenomenal. I cannot speak highly enough about the animation, and I I I just had so much fun with this movie, man. I was smiling the entire time, pretty much throughout the movie. I was smiling and even got emotional with Rengoku's death and with Tanjiro. You know, his family. Those scenes are great. So I think I'm gonna give this movie. God, it feels like an 8.5. Like Pete
Yep.
and I were talking
Yep.
before the show. We do not do decimal scores because otherwise your score would be meaningless. You know, a 7 or an 8, like you can give a 7.5 to goddamn any show you want. But no, we give hard
Whole
scores,
numbers.
whole numbers because it makes you think and forces you to make a decision.
Yes.
This is the most 8.5 movie I've ever seen, and because of that, it's an 8 because I'm a pretentious jerk and and it's a shonen, so you know
I feel
I
you.
have to
Yep.
go with an 8. No, but in all seriousness, I do think it's an 8 or a 9. I think you can go either way with this movie and not be selling it short or giving it too much praise because it is a phenomenal, just entertaining 2 hours that I highly would recommend to anybody else.
No, very, very well said. I'm going to be mimicking a lot of what Pat said. Lots of good in this. When the music hits, it was an incredible soundtrack. I loved it. The series also had an amazing soundtrack, so I expected that, and I got that. The animation was top tier as always. Ufotable knocked it out of the park again. This was great. Um, the two like major fights were both super well done. Um, just if they felt like end bosses, I really enjoyed that aspect of it. Really good, like the power scaling between Tanjiro and Inosuke versus the actual train itself felt like a really well power scaled level, and then Rengoku versus Akaza was very well done as well in terms of like that power scaling problems. The impact moments felt really hindered. The ending was really hindered by the impact that was so well done. It's not ruined. It's just lessened. It's like listening to your favorite song on like 50% volume. It's like it's just not hitting the same. Turn that shit up to 100 and let's go.
It's
And
like Akudama Drive's ending. It just doesn't
yeah,
it
that
just
ending was
it
great.
gets so close and then just
That ending was
sizzles
great.
out
Pat's
and
capping
leaves
right
you.
now.
I
Uh,
am not capping. Please, in the comments, someone
This
relate
is
to
this
me,
is
please.
Demon Slayer Mugen Trade Akudama Drive. If you want to leave a comment on that, go check out like our what was that summer 2020 review. But
Fall 2020. It
fall,
was a
I
fall
don't
show.
remember, dude. Okay, I've been drinking tonight. So the impact on those moments, the dialogue was fine. It's what I expect from shonen. Tanjiro scene at the end was incredible. I love that outpour of emotion he had. That was really great. But other than that, it's just like it's fine. Like you know what to expect from each character. Nothing blew me away. Like I said earlier before, like if Inosuke said nothing during Rengoku, like that makes dialogue better. Lack of dialogue makes dialogue better. Like that type of thing. It's the same thing with like music where you use silence instead of music. It it actually like it makes it better because like the lack of music is like an effect to the emotion, and I felt like that could have been done better. The beginning was honestly like really boring. Like I did not have fun in the beginning. Pat said earlier, I did.
It was slow.
I was
Yeah.
questioning to myself, how is this the highest grossing Japanese film ever? Like
Hmm.
nothing about this is getting me excited for what's to come. And the middle, they did. I mean, it did get better, and that's why I'm gonna mimic Pat. If we were doing fractions, this would be an 8.5. It was just we've seen such great movies in the last like 6 months. We saw the Violet Evergarden movie.
Yeah.
We saw the Made in Abyss movie. I just saw End of Evangelion for the first time. I'm seeing like these movies are doing these incredible jobs with every dynamic, and Demon Slayer did it very well on like 90% of it, or I guess in this terms 85% of it if it's an 8.5. So similar with Pat, I have to move it to either an 8 or a 9, and my heart is telling me an 8. Um, if you are like a shonen bro and you are focusing on the fights, I wouldn't surprise me if you get this a 10 because uh, those were two of probably the top, I don't know, 13 fights I've ever seen in my life in one movie. They were
Absolutely.
they
They were
were
phenomenal.
they were phenomenal fights. They were incredible. It's just I also care about the other things, and that it loses points for me. Props to Inosuke. He's the best boy. I love Inosuke so much. What an incredible character. I think they did an incredible job with him. Uh, Rengoku was the amount of development we got in an hour and a half or 2 hours that we got with Rengoku was it should honestly be taught. It was incredible. That's how you write a character in without these giant dialogue drops of background and stuff like that. So props to Rengoku. Tanjiro moved up my listing of like main characters in shonen or something like that. Like he's not. I definitely before this I thought he was just good. Now I'd say he's probably like very good.
I
Uh,
think he's great. For me personally, I love him, and I hate shonen guys,
he's
but I
he's
love
he's
this
not
guy.
he's not Mob from Mob Psycho. Like no one's touching Mob, but like he's like one or two notches below Mob. Like I think Tanjiro is a great main character.
Yep.
Yeah, I just don't like Zenitsu at all. It's like
Nope.
I'm sorry, like he's gotten like zero development in the entire show. When he's on the screen, it hurts it more than it makes it better. I like when he goes like demon mode and he goes like lightning form. That's literally like 3 seconds long.
But yeah. So what was really clever about that moment too? Just to I don't mean to jump
No,
in
you're
too
good.
hard, but um, it's like, oh, he's always asleep or like in a sleep like dreamlike state when he does his like lightning form or whatever, right? Like
Yeah,
they do that in the show too, where he does it and then he's immediately knocked out. It's so funny how like in the show they even acknowledge it, like, oh, he's still asleep. He never really actually woke up from the dream. He's still when he did save I think he
Nezuko.
saved Nezuko, right? Like
Yeah,
so he was still like knocked out cold, but his body just reacted or he did it, whatever. Like thought that made me laugh. Again, those are the moments where it's like, oh, that's clever, that's funny with Zenitsu. But then when he's sitting there, Nezuko-chan,
yeah. It's
it's
the same
like,
thing.
oh my
It's the same thing.
god,
It's the
like
same
just
thing.
shut up, you know? Like,
Like
oh
we get it. Like I understand. Like
yeah,
at least like Inosuke is also a one trick pony, but he changes like what he says.
correct.
Zenitsu does not change what he says. It's the
No,
same thing over. That's like the difference between like Zenitsu and Inosuke. I'll put it that way.
absolutely.
So yeah, me and Pat both give it an 8. Pat, any last second off the top of your dome that you thought of something that you want to say before we head out?
No, I think I'm good. Just thanks for letting me talk, Pete, and let me enjoy this movie with you.
Yes, I am excited for season 2.
Me too.
It definitely piqued my interest more than what I was originally planning because like I liked season 1. I would didn't make me want to go rush out and read the manga. Good. This movie, it's like when season 2 rolls around, I'm like, yeah, I'm excited for this. Like that's kind of what made me feel, and I'm looking forward to more Demon Slayer. So I would recommend it to almost anybody if you're a fan, and you'll probably enjoy it better than me and Pat. These are just our thoughts. You should know by now how we feel about these type of shows. Yeah, I mean, other than that, that's the end of our episode. We have Watch Club next week, which is Akira,
Yes.
which would also be interesting to see how we discuss Akira, which is a classic. So should be interesting.
That is like the most influential anime movie like ever, right? Or one of
It's
them
up
for
there.
sure.
It has a lot of ties of being really influential, but that's me and
Yep.
Pat's review for Demon Slayer. If you want to talk to me and Pat and say, hey, your opinions are shit, if you're listening on YouTube, you can leave a comment below or join our Discord, which will also be in the link tree in the description. I'm most active on Twitter, so if you have a Twitter, follow us on Twitter. What do you say, Annie? That's what you say, ANI on Twitter. We have new episodes every Monday. We got a whole cast of characters, so join our Discord, follow us, and if you're on like YouTube, if you like our video, it helps us beat the YouTube algorithm. That'd be greatly appreciated.
Your silence in the comments tells us that Pete and I are right. I just want to throw that out there.
Exactly.
So if you think we're wrong, please tell us, because otherwise we're just gonna keep thinking we're right. I mean, I already think I'm right, so it's gonna be hard to convince me otherwise. But maybe Pete might change his mind. You never know. So please do comment
I'm very open. Don't say that I'm wrong. Say I'm wrong and tell me why
and
I'm
tell
wrong.
us why we're wrong. Yes, get us going. And I love talking about this stuff. That's why I
All
talk to
day.
Pete. That's how I joined this Discord, and this community. It's great. So please talk to us and tell us what you think, what your opinions are, whether it's Demon Slayer or I don't know, the fucking Sailor Moon. Like, who
Yeah,
cares? We'll talk about whatever. Like, it's great.
that's
Can't
great.
wait.
So thank you again, and we'll see you in a few days for Akira. Bye.